Alrighty, I think we are. Alrighty, that was an old reference. I think we are ready to go live, and yes, we are live. And I've got my awesome graphic here for this coming Sunday, and I'm not even sure how many people will actually be able to engage in today's, in today's discussion. The purpose of doing this live was really more of a time-sake piece. I wanted to talk about and give an opportunity in the comment section for us to engage in some discussion about what we're talking about this Sunday. And so, I hope everybody had a wonderful 4th of July as we celebrated Independence Day. And I hope you had a great time with family. I know it's a wonderful time to celebrate. However, as we were preparing for this coming year, I was feeling very burdened to take an opportunity to talk about just sort of the state of what I'm seeing in not just in our country, alone in our country, but what I'm seeing when it comes to the topics and to the division that I'm seeing in the United States and around these topics. And take any of the topics. These are not topics that we're going to be speaking about, but these are going to be the examples that I use on Sunday and that I talk about on Sunday to talk about where we're going. Guns. The argument that we continue to have, the horrible shootings we continue to experience in our country, what I usually see on Facebook or in the news, just sort of the constant back and forth between gun rights and Second Amendments and people who want to see better processes and people who want to see mental health checks. People that would like to see guns gone altogether, that they believe this is a government-controlled issue and the government should step in and take care of this. It's across the board. And it's a really divisive topic. The same is true with immigration. Like right now, it's a very, very, very tender, and it should be, tender subject to bring up or in conversation, whether you're live or even online. Because regardless of what's happening at our border, there are people that are suffering. And I don't think anybody's okay with, even though there's accusations that people are okay with that, I don't think anybody really is okay with the suffering that's happening with some of the folks at our border and just the huge record numbers and the crisis that is there. I do really believe it is a crisis. But I'm telling you, the division over protecting the border and due process and conversations about the wall and just even if it's going back to the administration, the White House administration's desire to push forward this idea to really an open border mindset, to really sort of reclaiming that, bring us your poor, bring us your broken, bring us your weary, and really reclaiming the heart of the country, which is a country built of immigrants, and really kind of pulling back and saying we need to allow and let people in. It's really, really divisive. And I know a lot more people that kind of fit in the middle of this where they might have some opinions about some of the extreme views, but at the end of the day are just trying to figure out how to respond, how to help, how to engage in the conversation. It's also true with some bigger topics as well. We're going to be talking about abortion, and as the last Democratic debate kind of reframed it through this picture of reproductive rights. And what are the reproductive rights, and kind of pulling abortion in under the umbrella and banner of a reproductive rights discussion. And so we're going to talk about that on Sunday as well in terms of man, just, where do you stand, and not just where you stand, but how do you engage, and what do you do when you feel like you may not agree politically with people, but you don't necessarily, you're not out there just like, you're not a protester against the protesters against abortion. You're sort of in the middle, and quite honestly, there's a lot about the church that is said about this in terms of how some churches respond, and we want to talk about what we as a church do and why we partner with Love Life Charlotte, and why it's a big deal for us to sort of do what we can do, and at the same time engage in a conversation that really is people just way divided on. Gender neutrality is another big one that's it really kind of been over the last year or more, but as it continues to evolve around families and kids and raising kids and new definitions for gender neutral people, and not wanting to identify a child that's born as male or female. You can't make me do that. There's lots of conversations going on about this, and some of these things may be bigger issues to you. Some of these things may be, like I said, some of these things are bigger issues to you. Some of these things you don't necessarily have a huge opinion about. But I do sometimes have the conversation with people about where do I sit in some of these things, and what are some of my opinions about them. And I can give those to you. Those are not usually things that I'll preach. I don't stand up and preach my opinions on things and my views, but I do believe that as Christians, as followers of Christ, there is a call to every believer in terms of where God sits in their political conversations and their social views. We're all going to have them. That's just the way that is. I mean, we are members and citizens of this country. We are parts of this society. We are contributors, if you will, of our culture. And you're going to have opinions. You're going to have strong opinions even about some of these things, and people are going to engage you. And the question that I want to wrestle with this coming weekend is why it is we see such a division in these views and opinions that oftentimes many people are sort of slapping a Christian bumper sticker on, or slapping a Christian verse on, and so we're letting that view and opinion sort of be a reflection of well, this is what Jesus would do. And I get that sometimes people are bringing that up quite often in some of these conversations. Well, Jesus would just love everybody, and why can't you just lay off, and why can't you just whatever? And we sort of start bringing in our we start with our view, and we start bringing in the conversation. And so again, that's my biggest challenge this week is I want to talk about some of the stuff that's kind of hard to talk about. I'm going to do it in such a way that really does, I believe, challenge all of us to decide, if you will, or at least take the time to reflect and let it reveal, where does God sit? Like, where does your faith sit when it comes to these conversations, when it comes to a decision about a post online that you are going to engage in, when it comes to something you're willing to share with other people in terms of, hey, I'm going to back this opinion and send this out there to the world and put my name on it. And I think all of those things are pretty important, especially when it comes to the testimony that you personally have, and to the friends and circles that God's given you, your circle of the people that you're trying to pray for and influence and encourage and share absolute hope with. You're going to have social and political conversations. So where does God fit? And that's going to be kind of the challenge this weekend. So I hope that you'll come. I hope that you will come with open ears. I know you may have really strong opinions, even just about the few things that I just mentioned, and that's fine. Hopefully I'm not going to say too much that'll get one side too riled up more than the other. I plan on riling everybody up. Let me just go ahead and let you know. I plan on riling everybody up, but I don't plan to do it with a heart to divide. I plan to do it with a heart to figure out we have a role as Christians in this conversation, and what does it look like, and how do we respond to a ever dividing, contentious conversation in our country. It's really not, as I put in the graphics, it's really not a United States of America. It really is all about you. And by you, I mean the you that decides that their view or their opinion is the most important thing. And these conversations that people are having where you can agree with them or you can be wrong. And there's got to be some response from followers of Christ. There's got to be a way to engage in this as Christians in a way that kind of reveals and kind of shows people where God sits in our view, in our actions, in our behavior, and then the conversations we're having socially and politically. So I really do encourage you, if you are in Lake Norman, if you are in the area, and you want to come and be a part of that conversation with us at Journey Church, we meet at 9 and 11 this Sunday. This is not a series, just to let you know. We kind of chose to do it around the 4th of July. It's a one Sunday only. We're jumping into our Read Your Bible series on David. We're doing that next weekend, but this Sunday is all about this. And so I really do hope you'll engage and be a part of this discussion. Today, if you've watched this video all the way through, what I would like for you to do in the comments of this video is I'd love for you to share your own personal beliefs about where Christians currently can respond by sharing absolute hope through social and political conversations. How do you think that happens best? Do you think that happens best online? Do you think that happens best in person? Do you think that happens best when they share a kind of a one-sided, agenda-driven piece of media? Do you think that happens best when they create their own discussions online? Do you feel like that happens best in person? That they shouldn't talk about it at all unless they're in person and can absolutely reflect the fullness of what they'd like to say with someone else. I'd love to hear from you in the comment section about how you believe what is the best way for us currently to be able to respond socially and politically to the world we live in, and to our friends and our neighbors and our networks. Love you guys. Hope you have an awesome weekend, and I look forward to seeing all of you this Sunday. Thanks, guys.